the original season 5, episode 10, There in the Disappearing Light. So, of course, week behind on this episode. I didn't end up getting to see it until yesterday. And it was crazy. It's like, I don't get to see it. I come back to it. Pretty much been saying the same stuff kind of the whole season. Like, man, it's been pretty fun. It's been entertaining. Vincent, he's got to go, and like, he's always got to have something depressing happen to him. Thank goodness for Josh, they can't hurt Josh. That would suck. And then, of course, this episode rolls in, and it's like, oh, not only are we going to torture Vincent because his girlfriend is poisoned, and then, we find out that they've all been kind of infused with vampire blood, which I thought was interesting. I didn't think they were going to do it that way because that's pure torture, but good villains do torturous things. So that kind of surprised me. I was like, oh, okay. So I just assumed at first that they did come back to life. Like he figured out some crazy spell, which admittedly at this point, if they did something like in between episodes and resurrected somebody, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And I honestly just went with it. I was like, oh, he brought him back. Okay, that's cool. And then I was like, no, you did die. You just kind of in between, and you have to choose, feed on somebody and become a vampire, or just die, and that's pretty much it. So pretty much just an episode that was 100% based on torturing Vincent, and then us as the audience, we get to see Vincent get suffer. I just like Vincent a lot. Obviously, I mentioned that. I just think he's a cool character. And then Josh was just like a cool dude. I mentioned it before. It's like he's just the cool dude who came in and he stuck around. And some crappy stuff happened to him too. Of course, he's gonna escape with his boyfriend. I'm pretty sure it was 2 seasons ago now. And it's like, well, that didn't happen, and he's just in the city. It's been years, and he's been, taken over since Marcel left, and things have been good. And then things fall apart, and now Josh is dead. And I was just like, well, that effing blows. Like, it just sucked. I was like, there's gotta be, anything. I know it's the final season. That's kind of like the big thing of the final season is just people start dropping like flies. And it's just like, man, oddly enough, I felt way more affected by this than I did when Haley died. Like, that might be messed up, especially considering she was not only in this series from the beginning, but she was introduced in the Vampire Diaries. But I just felt way worse when Josh died. I was just like, I really like Josh. I just thought he was such a cool character, and he's just the guy who, even though he's not technically getting along, with the Michelsons, he always found a way to make it work. And it was just, that's why I always liked his character. Like, him and Vincent are like two sides of the same coin. Vincent being a bit more forceful when he gets to it. But it was just interesting. It was like, man, that really blows. So Josh goes in to save Marcel. They did answer something that I've always wondered, because I said it like a million times, where people were just like, I'm a witch, I'm so insanely powerful. And I've questioned it before. I was like, I know there are witches, but they still have to like say the spell or do this or do that. And you're 5 feet away from someone with super speed. Like, it's not gonna work. And they kind of show it in this episode. It's not 100% of the time. It's basically plot driven, where, well, we're not gonna kill Freya, so she gets a hit in on everybody, and we're not gonna kill Vincent yet, I guess. Who knows? So he gets his hits in on everybody. But I'm like, there's some situations where I always think about that. Like, I know they're magic, but they still have to move within that split second to do whatever spell they need to cast. And when that guy came up, after Josh kind of hit the barrier, he was gonna do whatever, and Josh just throat ripped him. And I was like, oh, well, plot. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Every good witch is gonna survive. Every bad witch is just gonna get killed by the vampires, because they're not good enough to move fast, and vampires, I don't know. So I was like, oh, they actually can kill them. So that was interesting. And they have a cool fight sequence. They're just beating people up. I was worried Josh was actually going to get killed during the fight, because I thought they were going to rip his heart out or rip his head off or something. And then it was like, okay, he saved him and everything. And I thought, okay, he might be wounded. They can figure something out. Like, if it's like somewhere, wherever, they could probably figure something out. They could technically chop an arm off or something. It's like, boom, well, there can't be blood there. It'll hurt. Obviously, your arm literally has to regrow. So, no big deal. We'll, drain the blood out, get you some blood, stick it back on, you're good to go. And then it's like, oh, it's like in his chest. And I was like, oh, this doesn't, I don't think you can plot your way out of this without some time travel. So, unfortunately, Josh does die in this episode. And I'm curious how that's going to end up playing out with, I think, the last 3 episodes, technically the last 2, since I'm a week behind. So it's pretty nuts to think that they killed off Josh in like these last little moments. And this is like, I swear, the one thing that I can appreciate with this show, or pretty much any supernatural series, the one thing I can appreciate is that even though it's super sad when characters die, they always write them off in like the happiest way, because they go to, we see them in the afterlife, and it's like, okay, I want to say the guy's name was Aiden, and he pulls up in the car, and they kiss, and then they just drive off in this random forest. I thought it was super funny that he literally like drove to him there in like the afterlife, and he just pops up. It's like, I gotta go meet Josh and pick him up. And I was like, that's interesting how the afterlife works. But that's like one of the things you can appreciate with supernatural shows. You get to see them have that moment where it's like, it sucks that they're gone, but you aren't left in like the space of the actual characters where they don't know what happens. They even though they know there's an afterlife, they still don't really know everything about how some of this stuff plays out. So it was cool. It was definitely a nice way to do it, where it's like, it still sucks that he's gone, but he got the happy ending where he got to be with the man that he loved. And they, I can't say drive off into the sunset because they were in the forest, but they drive off into the background. But definitely enjoyed the episode, minus that moment. But definitely a good episode. I'm really curious to see where things are headed. Of course, the stuff with Hope and her like wiping out all the vampires, and then of course that leads to her triggering her werewolf curse, which I thought was a really crazy scene, because I forgot that the guy was even up there, not the Scottish dude, but the guy that was with him. And it was like, okay, they saved him. It's like, don't worry, we'll save him, everything's fine. It's like, well, what about this guy? And I was like, oh crap, he's dead. Like, there's no bringing that guy back. And who knows what this is going to mean. I mean, they even reference it in the episode, so that was decent foreshadowing. But it was like, if you think she's angry now, wait till the claws come out and those fangs grow in, then it's going to be insane. So now that's where they are. And it, seemingly they took out all the villains. I couldn't tell. I assumed she killed all the people that were there, all the vampires that were there, because it was like an insanely forceful looking attack. So I don't know where they could possibly be headed next, unless Antoinette's brother decides to become evil, and he seemed like he was still on Hope's side. Like, he escapes and everything, and it seemed like he was still there to help her, like towards the end of the episode. So I don't really know where we're headed, unless she didn't actually kill any of those people. But we're also like three or so episodes away, so it could just be the focus is now trying to figure out how do we save her life, and kind of in this madness. So a couple more episodes left, and it's insane. Like, once they said it was like 3 episodes left, which is now 2 episodes left, I was just like, whoa, I did not think it was gonna be this close. But enjoyed the episode, minus of course the death of a character that I really freaking liked. So it's definitely interesting. And then of course there's a lot of stuff that happens at the end. Like, not only is Hope taking out the vampires, but she also activates the werewolf curse. And then Vincent's like, we're gonna release all the magic and stuff, which I thought was gonna do something to affect Hope, because she was using that insane magic, even though it was different. I thought that was gonna do something to her, but now it's just like, I think Vincent is officially on the warpath now, and there's kind of nobody to go after, but still, technically, there are a couple of people he can go after. So I'm really curious how that's going to end up playing out. But all in all, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And of course, with the character dying, I want to know what you guys thought about Josh's death, and just how it ultimately played out, and the way they gave him a nice send-off, and as far as the afterlife goes. But what are your thoughts on his death, and how that will affect these last couple episodes of the series, and just what do you think about it in general? So please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.